Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Rome, where he's meeting Italy's leaders ahead of an audience with Pope Francis. Now, this was the moment he arrived at the Prime Minister's residence in Rome, where he was greeted by the Italian President, Sergio Mattarella. Shortly after this, he met the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. She's been one of Ukraine's more vocal backers, although polls suggest that Italian people overall are opposed to sending Ukraine more weapons, as are some of her coalition partners. Well, more now from the BBC's Sofia Bettiza in Rome.
More than 1,000 security officers have been deployed in Rome today. Now, this is the first time that President Zelensky visits Italy since Russia invaded Ukraine last year. He has had a meeting with his counterpart, Italian President Sergio Mattarella. They had a private meeting that lasted for about 25 minutes, and some of the things that they discussed were economic sanctions against Russia, the kidnapping of Ukrainian children, the need to step up the fight against pro-Kremlin fake news, and Ukraine joining the European Union. After the meeting, President Zelensky said, "I want to thank Italy. I'd like to hug each Italian one by one for the support that they've offered to Ukraine. We share common values." Italy is a country that historically has always had strong ties with Moscow. And actually, since Russia invaded Ukraine, Italy has become a haven for pro-Kremlin disinformation and propaganda. Now, Zelensky has pleaded for more weapons from the West time and time again. And in fact, the UK a few days ago agreed to send missiles to Ukraine. You've got Germany, the UK, the US all sending tanks to Ukraine. Now, Italy is also sending weapons and money to support Kyiv, but there are people in Italy's coalition government who are not so keen on that. A clear example is Silvio Berlusconi. He's the leader of a centre-right political party that is currently in government, and he is a long-time friend of Vladimir Putin, Russia's president. The two of them have gone on holiday together, they exchanged birthday presents, and so, quite a delicate diplomatic situation for Giorgia Meloni to deal with today.
That was Sofia Bettiza in Rome for us. And we are expecting a press conference with Mr. Zelensky and the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, a bit later on, and we'll bring you that as soon as we get it. Well, Mr. Zelensky's visit to Italy comes as Russia has carried out a new wave of airstrikes on Kyiv and other cities overnight. The authorities say the military intercepted all drones directed at the capital, but in the southern city of Mykolaiv, 3 people were injured in attacks, and in the western city of Mintsky, critical infrastructure, as well as residential and government buildings, were hit. Now, the latest Russian strikes come as Ukrainian forces say they've made progress near the eastern city of Bakhmut. Our correspondent Hugo Bachega is in Kyiv.
Russia carried out another wave of airstrikes on Ukrainian cities overnight, and the Ukrainian military says that 21 drones were fired by Russia, those Iranian-made drones that Russia has been using to attack Ukrainian towns and cities, and that the country's air defense systems intercepted 17 of those drones. One of the targets was the region of Khmelnytsky in the west of the country, where civilian infrastructure was hit. This is a transport hub in the west of Ukraine, and the authorities say at least 11 people were injured in that part of the country. The city of Mykolaiv was also hit, and at least 3 people were injured. Now, these latest attacks happen as Ukraine says it has made some gains around the city of Bakhmut, which has been a key target for Russian forces in the east of the country. Now, yesterday, the Russian Defense Ministry seemed to acknowledge that Ukrainian forces have made some gains around Bakhmut, and it also said that Russian forces had abandoned some positions. Now, there was some criticism from the head of the Wagner Group, Yevgeny Prigozhin. His group has been leading the Russian efforts to seize Bakhmut, and he said that what had happened near Bakhmut was actually a rout.